Man, what we saw last night were two teams in the spitting image of the other, coached by brothers who have a similar philosophy of playing football of like, if we can road grade you, if we can smash mouth you, that's what we're going to do, and that's how we're going to win a football game, and play timely defense on top of it and get some top-notch quarterback play if we can. And sure enough, we did see that consistently through 4 quarters from one of the teams. And that team is the one that wears purple. And John Harbaugh's team came in coming off of a bruising loss in Pittsburgh, one of those dreaded paint swapping affairs in division. The Ravens and the Steelers always leave it on the field, and then they fly all the way to Los Angeles to take on a Chargers team that had won 4 in a row and took a 10-point lead on the Baltimore Ravens. And that's when Derrick Henry began to put his stamp on things, and Lamar Jackson put his stamp on things, and then the defense began to stamp out that Chargers offense enough for the Ravens to get enough of a purple wave of momentum, and that's the way they won this football game, by winning on the ground, Lamar not making mistakes in the air, and the defense, despite not having Roquan Smith, making sure the Chargers couldn't get enough momentum and left things for the Chargers to potentially stub their toe, and that was the end of that story. Derrick Henry, 140 rush yards. I was wondering going to the game, I even mentioned it on the Westwood One pregame show, sitting in between my good friends Kurt Warner and Kevin Harlan up there in the booth in SoFi. Thank you. It was just always great seeing those guys. I'm wondering, I was looking out on the field for the scorched earth left behind by the aforementioned Saquon Barkley, and was wondering, could Derrick Henry somehow, some way match the performance? And there's a reason why, Saquon Barkley's performance ranked in the top 10 of the history of the NFL in terms of single game performances by a running back.
Yeah, 9th all time.
302 scrimmage yards. More than 8 teams in the NFL this week. And Derrick Henry started a little bit slow, so did the entire Ravens offense, but that's been their MO for much of the year. And he finished with 24 carries for 140 rush yards. That's his 20th career game with at least a $140. And it tied a man who the faithful in the stadium last night, wearing Chargers colors, I might have to say, in Los Angeles here, are very familiar with. It ties LaDainian Tomlinson for 7th most all time. It's his 6th game with at least 100 rushing yards this year. And then Justice Hill popped one from 51 yards, and that was all she wrote. In terms of the evenings being in doubt, it wasn't after that touchdown scamper from Justice Hill. And what that did overall on the night was put the Ravens over 200 yards rushing in the game, 212 rush yards against the Chargers. That is the most rushing yards a Jim Harbaugh coach team in the National Football League's ever given up. That's what Big Bro did, was just put it on his little bro in a way that a Harbaugh family wants to do to anybody, whether they're blood relative or not. Los Angeles allowed, coming into the game, 3 rushing touchdowns on the year. And Baltimore had 2. One from Lamar, one from Justice Hill. There was one from Derrick Henry, but the usual problem the Ravens encounter, I couldn't believe it. They had an illegal formation penalty. How many times did we see that on opening night?
So many.
In Kansas City, to the point where
like 3.
We were wondering, what was the Ravens' malfunction? Mm-hmm. And then we learned the rest of the league had a similar malfunction, but the Ravens that's something for them to clean up. But what the Ravens got is what they needed, which is a W coming out of that spot, because their schedule is brutal. And it's interesting, I mentioned, is it possible for Derrick Henry to somehow get in the same area code 213-818 or whatever it might be, 424 here in Los Angeles, as Saquon on the same field, because it was Saquon on Sunday night and Derrick Henry on Monday night on the same field on separate nights. And next week, Ravens are going to be on the same field as Saquon. They play each other. That's next.
Love that.
Late window, first day of December. Here we go. And after that, the Ravens get a bye. Then they have the Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday. We keep mentioning it over and over and over again here. The Ravens and the Steelers and the Chiefs and the Texans all have this schedule to deal with in December. A Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday, because all four of them play on that Wednesday, Christmas Day on Netflix right here on the Roku portal. You can see it. But the Ravens do have, I would say, the simplest of runs in that Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday, because they start with the Giants. And the Giants have yet to win a game at home, and this game is in New Jersey. Then they're home for Pittsburgh before turning around and taking on Houston and then visiting Cleveland. So coming up with this win for the Ravens could not have been huger. It's also a conference win. If the Ravens do not win their division, this is something that would put, I imagine, the Ravens in Houston to start the playoff season, because Houston will have the worst record of a division winner, is my prediction. And I would say the way that the Texans are playing, if you don't win your division, being that 5 seed going to Houston, with all due respect to Houston by saying this, and also we all can admit the Texans will 100% be hosting the first playoff game of the week, and that's their usual annual spot on Super Wildcard Weekend, that 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central start. It is 100% their spot. You want it, you got to have it. The Ravens needed it. The week began with the Steelers losing in the snow, and then the week ended with the Ravens winning the Harbowl. And they now 100% are flat out in this mix to win their division. And if not, they're in the best position they possibly can be, in my estimation, in a wild card spot. Well done, Ravens. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.